My name is Clara Whitmore, and I was 34 years old the night my family laughed at the most expensive mistake they would ever make. It happened during our annual Christmas dinner at my parents' estate in Lake Forest, just north of Chicago. The house looked like something from a winter magazine cover, with white lights wrapped around the bare trees, polished silver on the dining table, and a fire roaring beneath the stone mantel. From the outside, we looked like the kind of family people envied. From the inside, we were cold, careful, and cruel. That evening, my grandmother Evelyn arrived with 4 cream-colored envelopes in her handbag. After dessert, she handed one to my father, one to my mother, one to my older brother, and one to me. Inside each envelope was a check for $6 million. My brother burst out laughing first. My father called it a pathetic joke. My mother told Grandma not to embarrass herself. Then, one by one, they tore their checks into pieces and threw them into the fireplace. I did not laugh. I did not argue. I folded mine, slipped it into my purse, and kept eating. The next morning, I took that check to the bank. When the branch manager saw it, the color drained from his face. He locked his office door, lowered his voice, and said, "Miss Whitmore, this check is real, but that is only the beginning. Before I tell you what he revealed, let me know where you are watching from. And if you have ever been treated like the least important person in your own family, stay with me, because this story is for you." Growing up, I learned early that love in our house was not love at all. It was approval, and approval had to be earned by making my parents look successful. My father, Richard Whitmore, built luxury developments across Illinois and spoke about legacy the way other men spoke about religion. My mother, Celeste, cared about appearances with a devotion that was almost frightening. She could forgive lying, debt, cruelty, or betrayal, as long as nobody outside the family heard about it. My older brother, Grant, was their masterpiece. He was handsome, loud, reckless, and completely protected. When he failed out of a private university, my parents blamed the school. When he totaled a sports car, they blamed black ice, even though it was April. When his first business collapsed, my father called it a valuable market lesson and wired him more money. I was different. I studied on scholarships, worked weekends, paid my own rent, and learned not to ask for help. If I succeeded, my parents said I was lucky. If I struggled, they said I had chosen the hard path. Grant was the heir. I was the reminder that not every child fit into their perfect family portrait. Grandma Evelyn was the only person who ever noticed. She was my father's mother, but she had never bowed to him. She was quiet, sharp, and impossible to impress. When I was little, she used to sit with me in the back garden, while the adults praised Grant inside. She taught me how to plant roses, how to balance a checkbook, and how to leave a room before people trained you to beg for respect. "Clara," she told me once, "never chase a chair at a table where they enjoy watching you stand." I did not understand it then. By that Christmas, I understood it too well. The dinner began the way every family performance began. My mother had arranged crystal glasses, gold napkin rings, and a centerpiece of white roses that no one was allowed to touch. My father sat at the head of the table, like a judge. Grant sat at his right hand, already half drunk on expensive Cabernet. I sat near the end, next to the radiator, where I had sat since childhood. Grant spent the first course talking about his newest project, a luxury apartment complex downtown. He used words like expansion, leverage, and disruption, as if repeating them made him a visionary, instead of a man burning through other people's money. I knew his last 2 projects had left unpaid contractors and lawsuits behind them. My parents knew too, but they smiled as if he were building an empire. "That is the kind of bold thinking this family needs," my father said, lifting his glass. "Your grandfather would have been proud." I almost laughed. My grandfather had been a careful man who paid people on time and never confused arrogance with courage. But in our family, history was rewritten whenever it made Grant look better. I had come to dinner with news of my own. After years of building my career quietly, I had been offered a partnership at the financial consulting firm where I worked. It was not flashy, but it was mine. I had earned it without $1 from my parents. During a pause in Grant's speech, I said, "Actually, I have some news too." My father did not look at me. He simply raised one finger. "Not now, Clara. Your brother is explaining something important." There it was. Not anger, not surprise. Just the familiar little slap of being dismissed. If you are watching this and you know that feeling, the feeling of being invisible at a table where everyone knows your name, comment I know. I promise, people like us are not as alone as our families made us believe. Grandma Evelyn watched the whole exchange from the other end of the table. She was wearing a dark green dress and a pearl brooch shaped like a bird. She looked smaller than she had the year before, but her eyes were awake. Nothing escaped her. After dessert, my mother began discussing photographs for the family newsletter. That was when Grandma tapped her spoon against her glass. "I have gifts," she said. Grant grinned. "Now we are talking." My mother forced a smile. "Evelyn, we said no dramatic surprises this year." Grandma ignored her. She reached into her handbag and removed 4 envelopes. They were thick, cream-colored, and sealed with her initials. She handed one to my father, one to my mother, one to Grant, and finally one to me. "Merry Christmas," she said. "Open them." My father opened his first. His expression changed from boredom to irritation. Grant leaned over, saw the check, and exploded with laughter. $6 million? He shouted. "Grandma, come on." My mother opened hers and frowned. "Evelyn, this is not funny." I stared down at my own check. The paper was real bank stock. The signature was steady. The amount read, $6 million. My heart beat strangely, not with greed, but with the sense that something important was happening. Grandma looked around the table. "Do you accept my gift?" My father gave a sharp laugh. "Mother, stop this nonsense. You do not have this kind of liquid cash, and even if you did, this is not how serious people transfer money." Grant waved his check in the air. "Maybe we should frame it. Proof that Grandma still has a sense of humor." My mother lowered her voice, the one she used when servants or relatives became inconvenient. "Evelyn, you are embarrassing yourself." Grandma did not flinch. "Then perhaps you should do what you think best." That was all she said. Grant tore his check down the middle. "There, problem solved." My mother gasped, but not because she believed the money was real. She hated mess. My father, always eager to look decisive, ripped his check into smaller pieces. "We are not indulging delusions," he said. My mother hesitated, then tore hers too. Grant gathered the pieces, laughing, and tossed them into the fire. The paper curled, blackened, and disappeared. Then they all looked at me. "Go on," Grant said, "unless you actually believe it." I looked at Grandma. For 1 second, her eyes met mine. She did not look confused. She did not look wounded. She looked like someone waiting for a door to close so another could open. I folded my check carefully and put it back into the envelope. The room went silent. My father stared at me with disgust. "Do not be childish." "I'm keeping it," I said. Grant laughed harder. "Clara thinks she is rich now." My mother sighed. "You always make things uncomfortable." That sentence almost made me smile. They had humiliated Grandma, burned her gift, and called her delusional, but somehow I was the uncomfortable one. I finished my coffee. I thanked Grandma for dinner, even though she had not cooked it. Then I went home with the envelope in my purse and a strange calm in my chest. Pause here for a second. If you were Clara, would you have torn the check to keep the peace, or kept it like she did? Drop your answer in the comments, because this is where the story turns. I barely slept that night. Not because I was dreaming of money, but because I kept seeing Grandma's face. She had not looked surprised. That bothered me. It meant she had expected them to fail. At 9 the next morning, I walked into North Shore Trust Bank wearing the same wool coat from the night before. The lobby was quiet, decorated with garland and red bows. A young teller named Melissa smiled and asked how she could help. "I need to verify a check," I said. She took the envelope. Her smile faded almost immediately. She checked the watermark, then the account number, then the signature. She typed something into her computer. Her fingers slowed. "Please wait here," she said. She disappeared behind a door and returned with a man in a navy suit. His nameplate read Daniel Mercer, branch manager. He shook my hand, but his palm was cold. "Miss Whitmore, would you come with me?" We entered a glass-walled office. He closed the blinds. That was when my stomach tightened. "Is there a problem?" I asked. He sat across from me and placed the check on the desk like it was evidence in a trial. "No," he said. The check is valid. The funds are available. Your grandmother arranged this months ago. For a moment, I could not speak. Months ago? Yes. Mrs. Evelyn Whitmore established separate accounts for 4 family members. Each account contained $6 million, but there were conditions. There it was. The word that changed everything. What conditions? Mr. Mercer opened a folder. Only checks presented intact by the named recipient could be honored. Destroyed checks could not be reissued without direct written authorization from your grandmother. Can she authorize them now? His expression changed. Miss Whitmore, your grandmother passed away this morning at 6:12. The room tilted. I gripped the arms of the chair. What? I am very sorry. Her attorney contacted us before you arrived. We were instructed to expect you. My throat closed. Not my father. Not Grant. Me. Then Mr. Mercer said the sentence that split my life into before and after. Mrs. Whitmore left further instructions for you, and only you, if you were the one who came. He called a law office from his desk phone. 20 minutes later, a woman named Naomi Reed arrived with a leather briefcase and a face that gave nothing away. She was Grandma's attorney. Naomi sat beside me and opened a sealed letter. The handwriting was Grandma's. My dear Clara, she had written, if you are reading this, then you trusted me when everyone else mocked me. I am sorry for the pain that brought you here, but I am not sorry for the truth. I needed to know who still saw me as a person, not an inconvenience. My tears fell before I could stop them. Naomi let me read in silence. The letter explained that Grandma had spent years quietly selling investments my father thought were controlled by the family. They were not. They had belonged to her. She had watched my father use people, my mother excuse him, and Grant drain money like a cracked bucket. She had also watched me build a life without asking for applause. The checks were not gifts. They were a test. The $6 million was mine, but there was more. Grandma had transferred controlling interest in 3 commercial properties, a private investment account, and a charitable trust into my name. The total value was almost $42 million. I stared at Naomi. That cannot be right. It is right, she said. Your grandmother was very precise. What about my family? Naomi closed the folder. Your parents and brother received the same opportunity you did. They destroyed it. I thought of the fireplace, Grant laughing, my father ripping paper with righteous disgust, my mother calling Grandma embarrassing. I should have felt satisfaction. Instead, I felt grief. Not for the money they lost, but for how easily they had revealed themselves. Around noon, my phone began ringing. First came Grant. Tell me this is a joke, he said when I answered. Good morning to you too. Did you cash it? I verified it. Silence. Then a curse. Clara, listen. I was joking last night. We all were. You know how Grandma was. She died this morning, I said. Another silence, shorter this time. Yeah, Dad told me. But about the check. That was Grant. Even death had to wait behind his panic. I hung up. Then my mother called. Her voice was wet and trembling, but I knew her well enough to hear the calculation beneath it. Sweetheart, we need to come together as a family. No, I said. You need money. How can you say that after losing your grandmother? Because you called about the check before you asked how I was. She began crying harder. I let her cry. For 34 years, her tears had been a leash. That day, they were only noise. If this part makes you angry, hit like. So this story reaches someone who needs the courage to stop confusing guilt with love. My father called last. He did not cry. Men like him considered emotion something employees and daughters did. We are meeting at the house at 6, he said. Bring the documents. I am not your employee. Do not take that tone with me. For the first time in my life, his voice did not make me smaller. I will come, I said. But I am bringing my attorney. He laughed once. Your attorney? Yes. At 6, I returned to the estate. The Christmas lights were still glowing, ridiculous and cheerful against the dark. Inside, the dining room smelled faintly of smoke. I wondered if ash from their checks was still somewhere in the fireplace. My parents were seated at the table. Grant paced behind them, red-eyed and furious. Naomi stood beside me. My father pointed to a chair. Sit. I remained standing. Naomi placed copies of the documents on the table. My father snatched them up. My mother leaned over his shoulder. Grant stopped pacing. Page by page, their faces changed. "This is impossible," my father said. "No," Naomi replied. "It is documented, signed, witnessed, and filed." Grant slammed his hand on the table. "She cannot just give everything to Clara." "She did not give everything to Clara," Naomi said calmly. "She gave each of you a choice. You rejected yours." My mother looked at me as if seeing me for the first time, not as a daughter, but as an obstacle. "Clara," she whispered, "you cannot punish us like this." "I am not punishing you." "Then share it." There it was. The family definition of fairness. They got everything when I had nothing, but the moment I received something, it belonged to everyone. My father pushed the papers away. "This money is family money." I laughed. I did not mean to. It just came out, small and sharp. "No. It was Grandma's money. Now part of it is mine." Grant stepped toward me. "You would really watch your own brother fail?" "I have watched you fail for years," I said. "The difference is, I am done paying for it." His face twisted. "You think you are better than us now?" "No," I said. "I think I finally stopped believing I was less." My mother covered her mouth. My father went still. I looked at the fireplace, then at each of them. "Grandma did not trick you," I said. "She revealed you." No one spoke. That sentence was the end of something. Maybe not the family, because I am not sure we had ever been one, but the end of my role in it. No more quiet daughter. No more emergency wallet. No more emotional punching bag who apologized for bleeding on the carpet. My father threatened to challenge the estate. Naomi told him he was welcome to try. Grant demanded an advance. I said no. My mother asked whether I could at least help with the payments on Grant's newest development. I said no again. Every no felt like learning to breathe. 3 months later, Grant's project collapsed. Without my father's secret funding, the investors withdrew. Contractors sued. The newspapers wrote polite words like mismanagement and overextension. My father called them lies. They were not. My parents sold the Lake Forest estate that summer. My mother told relatives it was because they wanted to downsize. Everyone knew better. Status people hate losing money, but they hate witnesses even more. As for me, I did not buy a mansion. I bought a modest brick house with a sunroom and a garden. I planted white roses for Grandma. I kept working, not because I needed to, but because I liked knowing my life still belonged to me. With Naomi's help, I created the Evelyn Whitmore Trust for young women leaving abusive family systems. The first scholarship went to a girl who had been told by her parents that college was wasted on daughters. When she cried in my office, I heard my own younger voice in hers. Sometimes people ask whether I regret not sharing the money. Here is the truth. I did share it, just not with the people who burned their own blessings and expected me to hand them mine. A year after that Christmas, I received a card from my mother. It said, "I hope you are happy with what you have done." I placed it in a drawer beside Grandma's letter. Then I made tea, sat in my sunroom, and watched the roses move in the wind. For the first time, silence did not feel like punishment. It felt like peace. If you have ever had to walk away from people who called control love, write peace in the comments. Someone reading it may need to know that freedom is possible. My family thought Grandma's check was worthless because they thought Grandma was worthless. They thought I was foolish because they had spent my life teaching me to doubt myself. But that night, while they threw $6 million into the fire, they also threw away the last illusion I had about them. I did not lose my family that Christmas. I finally saw them clearly. And sometimes, seeing the truth is the greatest inheritance of all. So, when people say family is everything, I always answer quietly that family is sacred only when it protects your soul, not when it trains you to surrender it for approval. Never forget that truth. If Clara made the right choice, subscribe for the next betrayed story, because in the next one, a daughter is cut out of her father's will, until one forgotten voicemail changes everything.